All right, let's dive in. Have you ever wondered about the hidden logic that keeps our digital lives in order? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the most fundamental sorting algorithms out there, bubble sort. Now, it's not the fastest kid on the block, not by a long shot. But understanding it is an absolutely crucial first step if you want to learn how to think like a programmer.
Just think about your phone for a second. You add a new contact, and poof, it just magically appears in the right alphabetical spot. That's a sorting algorithm doing its thing. Now, of course, your phone is using something way more sophisticated, but to get how those complex systems work, you gotta start with the basics. And honestly, there's no better or more intuitive starting point than bubble sort.
So, how does this bubble method actually work? Well, it's way more intuitive than you might think. Imagine you have a messy bookshelf and you want to sort the books by height. You'd probably start at one end, look at two books at a time, and just swap them if the taller one is on the left, right? That simple step-by-step process, well, that's pretty much the soul of bubble sort.
And this definition right here, it just nails it. You repeatedly go through a list, you compare two items right next to each other, and you swap them if they're out of order. That's it. The reason we call it bubble sort is because with every single pass you make, the biggest unsorted number kind of bubbles its way up to its final correct position at the end of the list.
Okay, so theory is one thing, but seeing this thing in action really makes it click. Let's take a simple, totally jumbled list of numbers and just watch how bubble sort brings order to the chaos, one little swap at a time.
Here's our list to start with. The algorithm kicks off at the very beginning. It looks at the first pair of numbers, 5 and 3. Is 5 greater than 3? Yep, so they need to be swapped. From here, it's just going to scoot one position to the right and do the exact same thing, all the way to the end. Let's watch how that biggest number, 5, makes its journey.
Okay, first swap is done. Now the algorithm looks at the next pair, 5 and 4, and, you guessed it, 5 is bigger, so they get swapped too. See the pattern? And the pattern continues. That number 5 is just getting pushed along to the right. Now it's up against 1 and, no surprise here, they're going to swap places again. All right, here's the last comparison for this pass. It's 5 versus 2. With one final swap, that 5 is about to land exactly where it belongs. And there it is. That's the bubble effect in action. After just one trip through the list, the biggest number, 5, has bubbled all the way to the end. It's in its final correct spot. So now we can basically just ignore it and focus on the rest. So what happens next? Well, the whole process just starts over again, from the beginning. It does a second pass, but this time it only has to go up to the number 4 since we know 5 is already sorted. And with each new pass, the next biggest number bubbles into place until the whole list is perfectly in order. Okay, so we've seen how bubble sort works, and its logic is incredibly straightforward. But, and this is a big but, that simplicity comes at a price. This leads us to the big question. Is it actually any good? This is where we get into the algorithm's biggest trade-off. Bubble sort's greatest strength is right there on the left. It's just so simple. It's easy to understand, it's easy to write the code for it, which makes it perfect when you're just starting out. But its massive weakness, as you can see on the right, is its speed, or rather, its lack of speed. It becomes painfully, agonizingly slow as the list gets bigger. This gets to what we call big O of n squared time complexity. Now, that sounds complicated, but all it really means is that the amount of work the algorithm has to do grows exponentially as the list gets longer. So if you double the number of items you're sorting, it doesn't take twice as long, it takes more like 4 times as long. And that's exactly why it's a terrible choice for any large dataset. Now, here's a really cool little tidbit that explains why it's so inefficient. An inverse pair is just any two numbers in the list that are in the wrong order compared to each other, like that 5 and 3 we started with. And what's so fascinating is that every single swap that bubble sort does fixes exactly one of these pairs. So the total amount of work is literally baked in from the start based on how jumbled the list is. A list that's completely backwards, that has the most inverse pairs, and that's the absolute worst-case scenario. So can we make it any smarter? Well, kind of. A really common trick is to add a little flag. Basically, if the algorithm makes a full pass through the list without a single swap, what does that tell you? It tells you everything's already in order. So this flag lets the algorithm realize that and just stop early. It's a huge help if the list is already sorted or close to it. But for a really messy list, it doesn't change a thing. You're still stuck with that massive workload. Okay, so if it's so inefficient for most real-world jobs, why on earth do we still learn about it? What is bubble sort's true legacy? Where does it fit in the grand scheme of computer science? This table sums it all up really nicely. We've talked about that O of n squared time complexity. That's the slow part. We also see its space complexity is O of 1, which just means it sorts everything in place without needing a bunch of extra memory, which is good. But what about that last one, stable? What does that mean? A stable sort is basically one that doesn't mess with the original order of items that have the same value. Say you have a list of people and you sort them by city. A stable sort guarantees that two people from the same city will stay in the same order relative to each other as they were in the original list. And bubble sort is stable because it only ever swaps adjacent items, and it never swaps two items that are equal. And sometimes that property is actually really, really useful. And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. Bubble sort is not a high-performance tool you're going to find powering modern software. Its true value is as a teacher. It's the perfect first sorting algorithm because it teaches you the absolute core concepts, looping, comparing, swapping, in a way that's just incredibly easy to get your head around. It builds the foundation that makes understanding much more complex and efficient algorithms like quick sort or merge sort even possible. So in the end, bubble sort teaches us a lesson that goes way beyond code. The simplest, most obvious path isn't always the best one. It's a fantastic reminder to ask ourselves, where else in our lives might we be taking the easy route when a smarter, more efficient solution is just waiting for us to find it? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.